So we all know from when we started our programs that the main key thing that causes fat loss is a calorie deficit. It's undisputable. It doesn't matter. Some people try and claim that there's this, that, and the other, and they're an outlier, or it's the hormones, or it's the metabolism, or it's digestion, or something. And yes, little things can play into it, but when talking about watching somebody's results over many months, not just days and weeks, but many months, if you're not losing weight, you're not in a deficit. End of story. So this is why food tracking becomes so critical. It's not as critical if you're in a maintenance phase, and it's not as critical if you're in a surplus. But when you start misjudging or misreporting the odd little thing here and there, it can quickly add up, and it quickly takes your 1,000 deficit to 500, or your 500 down to zero. And like I said, a lot of it is unintentional. So I've tried to put this together just to look at some of the things that I see on a weekly basis across the board. And again, I'm not aiming it at an individual. So there is research around this. The course that I'm currently studying goes into this in quite a lot of detail. And from the case studies that they've done, to 50% of people actually misreport how much they're eating. And all of those, the massive majority underreport what they're eating, overreport. So while a lot of people are good at doing this and they do see the results coming in every week, there are some people that don't. And in a few instances, I've had to start doing like a much harder look at people's intake on a daily basis. Even look at things like getting people to take photos of their meals and upload them to the app so that I can look at them and cross-reference them to see if what they've written down in their track, in their log, actually marries up with physically what I can see on their bit. The reason why it's non-negotiable is if I don't know how much somebody's eaten, I can't make adjustments. So if results are not going as expected, I need the data there. I need to be able to see exactly what's going on. If that's not there, if it's either missing or it's part completed, or people are not doing it accurately for whatever reason, I can't make those adjustments. I'm as blind as the person is. I can't assess how adherent people are being. I can't explain if things aren't happening on the scales the way that they're supposed to. Now, I know we did that session where we talked about scale fluctuations. That's more on a daily basis, which is why taking one data point per week isn't too accurate, because you could just hit a day where those daily fluctuations occur. But if we're talking about over the course of weeks and months, regardless of fluctuations, there should always be a downward trend or an upward trend depending on what your goals are. But simply can't help people. If it's not there for me to see, I can't. There's nothing I can do about it. It means your weight check-ins are meaningless. Your photos aren't telling the true story, and any adjustments that we make are pure guesswork. All good so far?
Yep, thank you.
One of the big ones is prospective versus retrospective tracking. Now, this is more common than people think. This is where you log as you go. And the problem with logging as you go is, let's say you're trying to aim for a calorie target of 2,500 and a protein goal of 175. If you're tracking as you go, you have no idea where you're going to end up at the end of the day. So for those people who are trying to lose weight, what happens is they'll get to the end of the day and go, I haven't got any calories left, I'm going to meet. And that's ruined my day. Same goes for the other people. the people who are trying to increase their calories and gain muscle and put on weight, they'll get to the end of the day and go, I haven't eaten enough. So I've got 700 calories left and I'm not hungry. What am I going to do? I've just had my tea. That's just poor planning on both sides. The best way to do this is to plan before you eat, is to actually track your food before you eat, either the night before or the morning. And if you've got some idea of what a weekly meal plan looks like, or even if you've got a rough idea of what the next 2 to 3 days looks like, and you should know what that looks like by this point, there's no reason why you can't log those details in the night before, especially if you've been doing this for a good few weeks. It literally takes seconds. Once you've done that, that's your plan to follow. There's no reason why you would fall off, because when you open up your MyFitnessPal the next day, you're not making decisions. It takes away that decision fatigue and that emotional, oh, I don't, what we're having for tea? Oh, we'll just grab that. That doesn't fit in what I'm supposed to have today, and then your day is ruined. You're literally just following the plan that you've made for yourself the day before. The other thing with retrospective logging is, and this is something that I've seen of a couple of people, is they're not even just doing it as they go. They do it at the end of the day, and then they're sat there going, "What did I have for breakfast? I had muesli. How much muesli? I think it was about 100 grams." And then they've forgotten that extra spoonful that they put in, or the other bits of things that they picked at. Um, there are studies that show that recall accuracy is pretty bad. It can be either grossly under or grossly over. Trying to estimate, trying to think back and remember what you've actually had, and whether you include all those little tiny extra bits. Um, not seen not seen many instances of it. That's because I can't see it unless I've got the data in front of us. But when I have got people to take photos and log at the same time, then it's easy to see if there's something on one and it's not on the other. And then you can start having that conversation of, well, you've tracked this, but there is no photo of it. The other common one is how people actually log amounts of things. So very often I'll see things like a medium chicken breast or one small potato. One small potato is, well, one small potato to you is a very small one to me, or a big one to someone else. Like, everything has to be weighed. If you need to be getting in the habit of deciding your portions before you're having them. So I can I've been tracking now for 8 years, so I can pretty much eyeball a chicken breast and give a good enough accurate, a good enough guess for how many grams it is, because I've done it that many times. You can tell by the size of it if it's 300 grams, 250 grams, or 200 grams, there or thereabouts. If I was in that position where I had to be hyper specific, then I would wait. Um, Everyone else probably needs to do this. Well, the other thing is, so making sure that you're weighing it in grams, and that means you have to find the listing in MyFitnessPal, which I'll come on to again, but try and weigh it in grams or ounces, it doesn't matter, as long as you've got a listing that tells you. So let's say the meat, everything you weigh should be raw. Doesn't matter what it is, whether it's pasta, rice, meat, vegetables, weigh it raw, because then it's always going to be the same, it's always going to be consistent. Cooking food usually adds water or reduces water from it. So if you start to play around with cooked weights, there's going to be that margin of error between what thing is one day and the next day. Um, well, right, so we've covered that. Most food labels will actually give you the uncooked weight as well. The amount of times I've had people ask, should I weigh my chicken raw or cooked? Always weigh it raw. Um, Believe it or not, this one gets messed up loads of times. So people will buy something from the shop in a box or packet or whatever. They'll scan the barcode or they'll just look at the barcode, they'll look at the nutrition label and they'll enter in what the content is for 100 grams without actually thinking the weight of the product itself that they've bought is 250 grams. But because it says per 100 grams on the box, that's what they'll register. So they're already 2.5 under what they should be. This actually does happen a lot. So make sure if you're doing it by 100 grams, that you times it by the percentage needed to get the entire amount. Same with chicken. If you're finding, if you, or steak or whatever else, if you're looking in MyFitnessPal for a listing, which is, you want to be looking at one that says, for example, chicken breast raw 100 grams. That's the listing you want. And then in the portion entry, you just multiply that by whatever it is. So if it's 250 grams, you put 2.5 in the portion. Like it's fairly simple. These are the common misreported foods as well that people kind of add in and just forget about and don't put in. Um, I'm sometimes guilty of this as well, and I know I am. So I'll actually often overestimate what I need because I know I'm guilty of it. When I take a tablespoon of peanut butter out of the peanut butter box, I know I put more than a tablespoon, so I count it as more. I overestimate it. But things like how much oil you put in a pan, the odd biscuit here and there, where you think, oh, it doesn't matter, it's only 30 calories. But if those things add up and then it's 100 and everything else is on as well, you're right back to maintenance again. Nuts, especially a handful of nuts, I mean, that could range between 100 and 200 calories, depending on how big your handful is. And all these bites of things, even little things like you're taking the kids. Again, I've done this. You take the kids' plates off them. There's a little bit left because they're fussy and they don't want to eat everything, and you end up whatever's left on theirs ends up on yours. You've got to account for that. You've got to add it in. This is probably the biggest one, and more people do this than I would like, unfortunately. And I see this every single week. Everyone's tracking is perfect Monday to Friday. Then I'll always see half a log on a Saturday, and then I'll see very little logged on a Sunday. So people get lazy on a Sunday and they just don't bother. Now, again, disclaimer aside, I'm not saying it's whoever, but I see it a lot. Everyone's um, macro breakdown when I look at the week just goes like that and drops off. So, and then they'll have a bad week. Even if you've had a bad week, I want you to report it. I want it on. It's as much awareness for you and honesty for you as it is for me. More so for you. It doesn't it doesn't affect me if you gain weight or lose weight or whatever it is. But if you're doing it to yourself by not adding it in, then you're the one that is cheating, and there's nothing I can do about it. So it's much easier if someone is honest and just puts in, look, I've had 4,000 calories on Sunday. I went out for Sunday dinner. I had a couple of pints. Then I went to the match. I got a burger at the match. Put this in. I've ended up with 4,000 calories. Great. At least I know where you are. At least then I can explain why you've put 2 pounds on that week, rather than everything just drops off and then there's a weight increase and then I read the check-in and it just says, oh, I've had a brilliant week. Like, you haven't. Do you know what I mean? Um, so even if you've cheated, it's much better to be just upfront and stick it in. And if you are, if the reason why you haven't put something in is because you can't estimate it, you've got no idea how to estimate it. Estimate it on the top end of the scale. Like I'd rather you overestimate it than underestimate it. If that makes sense. Again, why planning beats logging as you go. You don't get that scenario where you've run out of calories, you're hungry, you're then trying to fill in the gaps. When you log the day before, this is when you can fine tune your macros. So if you know what you're having for breakfast, what you're having for lunch, what you're having for dinner, what you're having before you go to bed, and you've put those in, you can do a percentage check and go, right, that adds up to I'm 200 calories missing. Okay, what else can I add to make up that 200 calories? How many proteins a bit down? Okay, what are those meals can I tweak slightly to make that fit? Right, I've got chicken for lunch. I increase that by this much. That's it. It's nailed everything in. You can do all that fine tuning the night before, and then it's all done. Just curious, who does do this before the day before? I knew you would.
We do, yeah.
I do, but
No,
it's more me breakfast and me lunch. Like the evening meals, I don't because I don't really I make that on the night. But Monday to Friday I work because I know what I'm having for bait at work, and then I have my breakfast sandwiches that I make as well.
Yeah. Do you know what you're having an evening meal during the week?
Um, Probably not the night before. No, we just decide. Me and my wife just decides on the day, on the night. But I do track it on the night. But I always the way it's been working, I've always because like the way me two meals at breakfast and the lunch works, I always end up with about 1,000 calories on an evening. So
So you've always got kind of plenty. And then have you got something? Do you when you have that meal, you just make sure that you add enough to make it fit, or do you then like have some left over and then you have something else later on?
so I
How do you make it?
if I'm hungry, I'll have like a snack later on. But sometimes there'll be nights where I've got like 100 or 200 spare calories that I haven't used.
And then you just rub it the next day.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, no, I forget about them. So once I've eaten one on my breakfast again, I'm not like, oh, I need them 200 calories back.
Aye, aye.
But then I suppose it's a little buffer for if I do, because some days if you look, I think there'll be days where I'm 100, 200 over, so
Yeah.
which kind of goes against what you've just said, but
You know what is different when you is it different when you've got kids? Like would we haven't got the luxury of just getting to a day where we're saying, what do we have tonight? It's like we've got to be that
mm,
far ahead. We've got to be pre-planned, and we've got into this weird routine now where every Monday is the same meal, every Tuesday is the same meal, every Wednesday is the same meal.
oh, say nah, total opposite. So it's like we might go to like day or two, and then we'll nip the shops and get like a day or two's tea, and then we'll just So like we decided what we're having for tea at 5 o'clock this afternoon whilst I was unboxing, and it's
We've
been
eaten by
now.
then.
Eh?
We've eaten by then.
Aye.
There's at like 4, 4:30. I I'm not saying there's anything wrong with doing that either, but if people get stuck and if people get to the point where they're like, this isn't working, then the way around it is to pre-plan what you're going to have. So if it's working for you, fine. But if you find at some point that it's not working for you, the answer is to pre-plan and have some idea like, right, this is what our week's going to look like. And it does just make things so much easier. You don't have to make those decisions. Which you're you're like that, aren't you? You're like me. You're militant and regimented.
Sorry, say that again?
I said you're like me. You're quite militant with your food choices and planning and what you're going to have.
I'm a creature of habit. I just eat the same stuff over and over again. So even Monday, Saturday, even Sunday, really, I have my protein smoothie in the morning. I have my 4 eggs on my sourdough. If I batch cook a chili on a Sunday, which is my kind of favourite at the minute, I'll eat that every day at work for my lunch. And then I do it because I know that come tea time, I've got roughly about 600 calories left.
Mm.
And we shop on a weekend. Although we didn't plan what we're having every night, have the same things, but it could be different nights. So one night we're having steak, one night we're having salmon, one night we're having chicken, whatever it may be. But I don't mind it. I'll just, like I say, I'm happy eating the same stuff. Doesn't bother me.
The only night of the week that we go off piste and like we're not sure what we're having is Saturday, because that's the one day of the week where we'll maybe go, oh, should we have something different because it's the weekend, and you feel like you need something like a bit more special.
Yeah. I mean, even if you look on my
Thing.
Sundays are planned as well because I love a Sunday dinner.
Aye.
But with it, I've changed it, so there's no roasties, there's no stuffing. It's literally just meats, couple of meats, veg, some sweet potato, mash and gravy. But I'll log it all in, and that's probably about 800 calories. But I just make sure I've got that left for when I have me Sunday lunch. I'm not missing me Sunday dinner. I love it.
It was funny. Did you see Anthony's message in the group with his breakfast? I think I was 100 calories out in guessing.
What was it, 1,000? Easy.
I said 1,000. I think he said it was roughly around 1,000 or 1,100 or something.
Well, what do you have on there? Hash browns are like 150, 170 calories each. Easy.
Well, I estimated 100 each, but I probably overestimated other things. This one here, I've had off a couple of people, and I don't get what's difficult about this one, but I'll explain anyway. Like, how do you log batches? So if you're making a batch of something like you've just said, like a chili or a casserole or a soup or something that you're going to split up into portions, like you literally just you just enter into the log the total ingredients of every single thing you add into it, and then you save that as a meal. And that meal, let's say you've done like that thing there. Let's say you've done a total batch of chili, and you've logged everything. And once it's cooked, you stick it on the scales and it weighs a kilo. But you've also made sure that when you've logged everything, it's 2,000 calories. I mean, that's dead simple. You literally you save it as a meal. Then when you split it up into portions and you weigh the portion, then you just change the portion fraction on the item that you put in. Like, does that make sense to everyone?
Mm-hmm.
Aye. It's a funny one as well. When to track and when not to track. So a lot of people struggle with. I had a guy for a while who was doing really, really well for months, and then just out of the blue in his check-in announced that he didn't want to track anymore, that he was finding that absolutely tedious. It was the bane of his life, and he hated it. And it was literally the first time he'd ever mentioned it. And he'd been doing it for 5 months and lost 2 stone. I was just like, where's this come from? And like, it's fine. You don't have to track. When you first start doing this, do you have to? Absolutely, you do. Because the reason you've come to me in the first place and you want help with losing weight is you literally have no idea how much you're eating. So there is an element of like, you need to do this. Doing this is actually teaching you how much food you actually need and how much you're having. Once you've been doing this for a while, can you start backing off and eyeballing food? Yeah, you can. Of course you can. I've been doing it for 8 years and I've still chosen not to because it's just become a habit and I feel like I'm in control by doing it. It doesn't feel, it's not time consuming. It literally takes us a minute, 1 minute a day to do it. It's not mentally demanding. I don't find it tedious and I just do it without thinking. But for some people it does. For some people it's an act like they hate it. But you can. What I said to that guy was, okay, don't stop doing it, but then see how you go and see what happens. If weight starts creeping up, you know why. Because you've now lost track of that control that you had and understanding what you're eating and why. And you'll have drifted. And if that happens, then start bringing it back in and you'll find that things will get back under control and you're away. But you should be in a position where you are able to do this if you want to and be able to stop tracking, but not in a diet phase. You need that level of control. You need that degree of accuracy. If it's just for maintenance, fine. If you're at a point where you understand what maintenance calories looks and feels like, and you can stay on a diet and you can stay within healthy habits, then totally fine. You can do that. Does anyone on the call find it a chore?
I did at first, like when I first started doing it, I was like, oh, but like you say, it's just a habit. And now it's exactly that for me. It's that having that control. So I know exactly what I'm having when. Yeah, just it's easier.
Yeah. And especially when, like, we're not the kinds of people that have so much variety that your meals change that much from week to week. Like, we eat similar things. And once you've tracked them, once you've saved them once, and it's literally just copying and pasting a meal. Like, I've put in my stories a few times. I have 2 breakfast rotations, 3 lunch rotations. I eat the same thing before I go to bed every night. And then dinner is the only thing I change. I could literally track a week, and my breakfast and lunch rotations are dependent on whether it's a training day or not, and I know what days I train. So I could literally fill out 80% of my log for the entire week in a few minutes, just copying and pasting, and it's done. And all I've got to do is wake up and follow it. Before I finish on this one, probably one of the things that people might get wrong is choosing the right listing. So picking the right one, because when you go into MyFitnessPal and you do a search for something in particular, unless it's something you've scanned the barcode on or you've copied from the barcode, you're basically relying on other entries that other people have made, whether they've got the verified tick or not, and they're not always accurate. So this is where you've got to do a bit of your own kind of research and critical thinking around it. Like you've got to look at the list and go, does that seem right? You can't just pick the first one that comes up and shut it and then go, oh well, I've logged such and such, it's there, but like, is that the right listing? But sometimes you can look up raw chicken breast and there's about 300 entries from all the different people who've saved their entries into the database. So you need an element of deciding which one you're going to choose and do a little bit of research and do a search and look. What's just putting the telly on? Like,
You get burgled here.
look for the one that makes sense. Like look for the one that you'll see a listing of maybe 10 or 20 entries for the same food, and if they all look like they're kind of saying the similar thing, like pick that one. Make sure that it's got all the macro entries in it as well. because I've seen quite a lot of lists where you'll put it in, it's got the calories, but then when you go in and look at the macro breakdown, it's got them missing. I got caught out with this with Young's breaded fish, so like the fish fillets and breadcrumbs. When I was logging them using the verified one, it just had protein 0 because the listing was incomplete. So you've got to be making sure that you're using that one as well. So to summarize, if you're not losing weight over time, you're not in a calorie deficit, full stop. Or you've been trying to be, and then you've gone off the rails and reversed it, and then you're doing that Monday to Friday, weekend off, Monday to Friday, weekend off. Has any of this helped anyone? Has anyone spotted anything here where they've gone, oh, actually, I might need to check that?
Yeah, me weighing things.
Are you a one potato, Keith?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm a one potato Phil. Or a 3 potato sort of guy.
We're down as one.
Oh no, I'll put it down as 3. I'm honest when I like it. Just it's probably better the way.
You don't have to look at every single. You don't have to weigh it every single time. Like once you've weighed a potato, if you've got a potato that's the size of your fist and you've weighed it once and it's 250 grams, you know roughly like that potato is 250 grams.
Yeah, but I'm a sucker for doing cups as well with like oats and things like that. So rather than weighing them, but I've just bought some scales whilst we've been on this phone call. So, yes.
I was going to say we need batteries for our new one.
No, these are the ones that I've just bought. No,
I don't like measurements where it's measuring like the volume of something rather than the weight.
Yes.
I just find that really unreliable.
Yeah, definitely. Makes sense for what you've said.
Yeah.
Because you could be filling the cup a little bit more than what you should be.
Well, I also don't understand what a cup is. I mean, a cup it's an American measure, isn't it? It's like
I've
We've got
the
the
cups. Yeah.
Yeah, but someone else might fill a mug full of stuff and
Yeah. I've got like everything going from a quarter cup up to like 1 cup to so I think I'll put the cup on the scales.
Well, it's not a Sports Direct cup, you're right.
Yeah. I've got a bigger one than that. I've been living on caffeine this week.
What else would be useful? Is there any other subjects or topics that people would find useful? Pretty much go into anything.
I think what you were discussing earlier with MyFitnessPal about how you can find things to weight, with weights and that, because
I didn't realise you could put like recipes on there. I'm going to have a bit play with MyFitnessPal because every day I just log in all the individual foods.
And technology is not my friend. I'm not that up with it. So
Look.
I can't see. I still can't read that.
You can add meals in.
Well, I've already got meals saved in here for mine.
You pay for the premium version, Phil, or is it worth? No.
I can't scan mine. Either Jane can scan hers, but I can't scan mine. My iPhone won't let me do that.
See, I can, but other people, I don't know whether it's.
It'll be your permissions
when you signed up. I don't know whether it's when you signed up for it.
Yeah,
because
you have to allow it access to your camera. That's what it'll be. It'll be your permission.
Oh no, I've allowed access to the camera and that lot, like, but it says that it wants to charge me for the premium when I want to do it.
Oh,
So I'm like, no chance.
here's my meals. And to be honest, I don't actually use these very often. I'll actually just use the copy and paste feature from day to day.
Mm.
But what's really useful is if you've got friends on MyFitnessPal, if you allow like diary sharing with someone else. So I've got Claire on here.
Mm.
If she's and she logs a meal, I can go into her diary and then I can copy and paste her meal into mine.
Mm.
Oh, that.
Oh, no, look, I've married you. I don't really want to share my fitness pal with you. It starts
I know
with
how.
marriage, then end up with the fitness pal, the car, everything.
I wonder if I can show you how to do this. I don't know where it is on the desktop version,
No.
but I know you can go into Friends. Oh, here we go, Friends. So Claire Brown. Hi, do you want to see what Claire's been eating today?
Chicken with fairy up liquid.
How did this rinse that off? How did this
Yeah.
run out and tap and straight in? No problem.
Reminds me of that Little Britain sketch. That's anybody?
I wonder if this is how you do it. It's different on the app, but let's say we put in this is our spaghetti bolognese for today, and then I can just go copy to today because I'm logged in on mine, but I'm viewing Claire's. When it's saying copying, it's copying to me. So then I can just put in which meal I want to copy it to, and it'll just copy it straight across. If I want to copy it to a different day, I'll pick a different day, and then so I can go retrospectively. I can look back at other days when Claire's logged something that we've both had, and then I can just copy it and bring it in.
That's going to make my life easier because I'm sick of putting Laura's in.
But then the way you make a meal is if I go into Friday, food. I tell you what, I put in. So tomorrow I'm gonna have eggs. Right, I'm gonna have me omelette that I normally have. I've normally been just. I'll show you how we do it. No, doesn't like that.
To make a meal, you just go into the meal section and then click the plus, don't you, and create one.
Or let's just show you this. So if I go, I'm gonna go confirm date. So the last time I had an omelette was Wednesday. So there it is. 6 egg whites, 4 whole eggs, 2 slices of toast, olive oil, ketchup. Now I should be able to remember meal, 10 egg. Oh, I always get, is it 2 L's and 2 T's or? So that's saved. So then if I go, I know I'm going to have exactly the same again on Sunday because Sunday is me non-train day this week. And then I can just go add food, meals. I'll be at the bottom of the pile now. I go 10 egg, search. No, sorry, it's searching the database and not my meals. There you go. There it is. and it didn't. But that
I'm
would be how you would
gonna
save.
type it in quicker.
That would be how you would save a batch. So let's say if that same meal was a batch, forget that it's an omelette. Let's say if I wanted to make that omelette and I wanted to split between the kids, and I just want to know what half of it was, then I would go add food, meals. I'd go back into it. But then instead of 1, I'll just put 0.5.
0.5.
And now it's playing exactly half the ingredients.
Yeah.